Steve? Steve's gone. I was going to ask Steve if he had his shocks and his struts checked. It's very important to have both your shocks and your struts checked.
Absolutely. If you don't, you could be wasting major gas money if they're not working properly. Our Monday morning mechanic David Rogers from Keller Brothers Auto Repair here showing off the importance of getting these suspension components working the right way. David?
Well, good morning. How are you?
Good.
Well, I'm going to try not to shock you too much.
Good one.
I know.
Ha-ha.
Not on a Monday.
Hey, seriously though, people don't think about shocks and struts because mostly they can't see them. And we don't realize how much money they're actually costing us in how many different ways. The most obvious is gas mileage. And what you have to think about is, since the shock is designed to keep the car firmly in place as it takes off, when a shock is bad, the car's going to lurch. It's going to have extra energy to try to pull it up. Here's one you can kind of see, obviously, if someone were to look under their car and see that the boots were torn, these rubber boots, they would know, gee, I may have a problem here. The boot's there to keep the oil in and keep dirt and water out. Now this shock, not only is the boot torn, but you can see that this is supposed to hold the weight of a car, okay? I can push it down with one finger. So that tells you that somebody was probably not enjoying a very nice ride. And in addition to that, when the shock's not holding the car up steady, what happens to the tire is really of great concern. The tire is going to wear funny. It's going to kind of have ripples on the tire, which are going to cause you to have a real bumpy ride. Not just the big bumps that you feel going over a dip or a hole, but you're going to get a real bumpy short ride too, because the tire is going to be very uncomfortable. Here's another shock. You can see some damage here. As you see this fluid sort of around here, what's happening there is the oil that's inside. That's how they work. This canister is full of oil and in some cases gas, and that's what helps hold the car up. Again, you know, this one's just not going to hold up the weight of a car. You can actually kind of hear it. You can hear that liquid seeping through there. That needs to be replaced. Now on a new shock, you're going to find that it's going to be sealed. There's not going to be any leaking or anything. In addition to that, even somebody as big and strong as me is going to have a real hard time trying to depress that. And you know, in the car, that's going to translate to a better tire, less gas money, and other things of that nature. Now, there's something that we haven't mentioned yet, and those are struts. And I'm sure people have thought to themselves, why did my car have struts, and why are they so expensive? You know, a simple little shock like this might cost you $75, $100 a wheel to replace just the part. A strut might cost you $400 or $500 a wheel, and you can kind of see here as I hold this strut up, it's a heavy sucker, exactly why that is. It's got a spring coil around it, which takes a lot of labor and a special spring press to take off so that we can replace the strut unit. And it works a lot better. Typically they have several chambers in them that hold fluid, again an oil or a gas, and it dampens your bump in stages. So instead of just going bounce, you're kind of going down, and then it's letting you up real slow. So it's a very nice ride. Struts tend to provide a much better ride. Now here's a strut. You can see here on this one how this one's damaged here. Rather than leaking up at the top, we have it rusting out. It's about ready to fail at the base, which could cause you to have an accident or create a worse problem like that. Here I have some little, you see some little tie rod end type devices here, and basically they're little balls, they're a little ball joint inside of there. And you can see how easy they move and see all the grease out of there. You can tell that that's bad as well. And again, that's going to cause some premature tire wear, and it's going to do things to the tires that are going to create a safety issue, as well as, again, when the tires aren't smooth, you're going to have a gas consumption problem. Finally, I want to talk about a different kind of strut. These little devices are called hood struts. Now you might see these on your hood. This vehicle doesn't have them, but typically they're kind of mounted here, okay? And what they do is they assist you in opening the hood, and they keep it open. Now just imagine that if you were on the side of the road having a problem with a car at night, you can't find any help, so you raise the hood. Well, if the hood strut's bad, you may be working under there, and imagine this being your hand or your wrist. You may have that under there, and now what's happened is your fingers are going to be hurt badly. Now you've turned something from an automobile situation into a healthcare crisis or a medical emergency. So the strut, the hood strut itself, may not save you money per se, unless you count the ambulance ride or the hospital bill, but what it will do is it'll keep you safer and allow you to work underneath the car or look under the car without any risk to your hands or fingers. So I highly recommend you have those replaced if they're recommended by a technician as well. Biggest thing to remember about suspension, gas and tires. Average tire today costs over $100. You know, some tires $200, $300, $400 a piece. You get those big fancy wheels everyone likes now you're getting into hundreds. So it's worth it to take care of these shocks and struts and get those wheels aligned when you do so. It'll be safer.
Yeah, that's so important.
Good advice, my friend. Thank you as always. They're paging you, apparently. Someone has a strut emergency.
We all got really quiet. I wanted to hear who was. We don't hear the pages in the studio.
What's happening out there?
I'm on call.
I guess you are. Thank you, my friend.